Jim Morrison's biography. Jim Morrison was one of the most influential musicians of the 20th century, known for his poetic lyrics and wild stage presence. He was the lead singer and songwriter for the iconic rock band, The Doors, and his life and work continue to inspire generations of musicians and fans. Early life and family background. Jim Morrison was born on December 8, 1943, in Melbourne, Florida. He was the son of Admiral George Stephen Morrison and Clara Clark Morrison. His father was a naval officer who served in the Pacific during World War II and later became a top-level official in the U.S. Navy. His mother was a homemaker who raised Jim and his younger sister, and Robin. As a child, Jim was a curious and intelligent student, who showed an early interest in music and literature. His family moved frequently due to his father's military career, and Jim attended several schools across the United States. He eventually graduated from George Washington High School in Alexandria, Virginia, in 1961. After high school, Jim attended St. Petersburg College for a year before transferring to Florida State University in Tallahassee. He studied literature and philosophy, and his love for poetry and writing began to flourish. However, Jim quickly became disillusioned with the university's academic structure and decided to drop out after his sophomore year. Musical career and achievements. Jim's interest in music continued to grow, and in 1965, he moved to Los Angeles to pursue a career as a rock musician. He met keyboardist Ray Manzarek at the UCLA Film School, and together they formed The Doors, along with guitarist Robbie Krieger and drummer John Densmore. The band's name was inspired by Aldous Huxley's book, The Doors of Perception. The Doors quickly gained a reputation for their intense live performances and their unique blend of rock, blues, and psychedelic music. Jim's lyrics were often provocative and challenging, addressing themes of love, death, and the human condition. The band's debut album, The Doors, was released in 1967, and it included the hit single Light My Fire, which became a #1 hit in the United States. The Doors went on to release several more successful albums, including Strange Days, Waiting for the Sun, and Morrison Hotel. Their music was characterized by Jim's powerful vocals, Ray's melodic keyboard playing, and Robbie and John's tight rhythm section. The band's live shows were legendary, with Jim often improvising his lyrics and engaging in provocative stage antics. Jim's career was not without controversy, however. He was arrested on several occasions for public intoxication, and his on-stage behavior often pushed the boundaries of acceptable behavior. In 1969, The Doors were banned from performing in several cities, including New Haven, Connecticut, after Jim was accused of exposing himself on stage. Despite these setbacks, The Doors continued to produce music that resonated with audiences around the world. Their final album, L.A. Woman, was released in 1971, and it included the hit single Riders on the Storm. However, the band's success was cut short when Jim died in Paris, France, on July 3, 1971, at the age of 27. Legacy and influence. Jim Morrison's life and work continue to inspire musicians and fans around the world. His provocative lyrics and charismatic stage presence were groundbreaking, and they paved the way for many of the artists who followed in his footsteps. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1993, and his music continues to be celebrated and analyzed by scholars and fans alike. In addition to his musical achievements, Jim was also a published poet. His first volume of poetry, The Lords and the New Creatures, was published in 1971, shortly before his death, and it showcased his unique voice and perspective on life. His poetry explored themes of love, spirituality, and the human condition, and it served as a window into his complex and often tumultuous inner world. Jim's influence extended beyond music and poetry. He was also a cultural icon and a symbol of the counterculture movement of the 1960s. His long hair, leather pants, and rebellious attitude made him a hero to many young people who were seeking an alternative to mainstream culture. He embodied the spirit of the era, with its focus on personal freedom, social justice, and spiritual exploration. Family life and children. Despite his many achievements, Jim Morrison's personal life was often troubled. He struggled with alcoholism and drug addiction, and his relationships with women were often turbulent. In 1968, he began a relationship with Pamela Corson, who became his longtime companion and muse. The two were together until Jim's death in 1971. Although Jim and Pamela were not married, they considered themselves to be husband and wife. They also had a tumultuous relationship, marked by periods of intense passion and violent arguments. Despite their difficulties, however, they remained devoted to each other until the end. Jim and Pamela did not have any children together. However, after Jim's death, several women came forward claiming to be his children. In 2007, a woman named Kelly J. Morrison filed a lawsuit claiming to be Jim's daughter. She alleged that Jim had a brief relationship with her mother in 1968, and that she was born in 1969, shortly after the release of the Doors' second album, Strange Days. The lawsuit was eventually dismissed due to lack of evidence. Another woman, Jamie Morrison, also claimed to be Jim's daughter. She alleged that she was born in 1970, after her mother had a brief relationship with Jim. However, Jamie's claims have not been verified, and there is no concrete evidence to support her assertion. Despite the lack of concrete evidence, Jim Morrison's legacy lives on. His music, poetry, and rebellious spirit continue to inspire new generations of artists and fans. He remains an icon of the counterculture movement and a symbol of the power of artistic expression to challenge conventional norms and transform society. Jim Morrison died on July 3, 1971, in Paris, France. He was only 27 years old at the time of his death. The exact cause of his death is still a matter of controversy and speculation, but the official cause listed on his death certificate is heart failure. Some sources suggest that he may have died from a drug overdose, while others speculate that he may have suffered from a respiratory illness or other medical condition. There are also rumors that he faked his own death and is still alive today, but these claims are not supported by any credible evidence. Regardless of the cause of his death, Jim Morrison's passing marked the end of an era and the loss of a talented and influential artist.